Right, let's talk about... We're going to talk about your nuts, even if you're a chick. Having a problem with your nuts in public is undignified, but getting a little bit more hands-on is okay. It could even be therapeutic. 2 words: homicidal vendetta. That's exactly how you're going to feel if you're stopped at the roadside one day and you can't undo your wheel nuts because the bozo who serviced your car either over-torqued them or under-lubricated them. If those wheel nuts aren't done up, not too loose, not too tight, I'm thinking Goldilocks, then over time it'll warp your brake disc and leave you with a bill you just can't jump over. Poorly adjusted nuts are a ticking time bomb. What? I've always wanted to say that. Your nuts probably feel fine right now, and they probably look okay too, but you just won't know for sure how those bad boys are going unless you get down on your hands and knees on the road and check them out. There's no shame doing this. We're all grown-ups. You might even enjoy it. You'll need a proper socket in the right size, an extension, a breaker bar, and some wheel bearing grease. Bearing grease has excellent temperature resistance. That's important because those nuts sit on studs, which sit on the brakes, which get hot. You'll also need a torque wrench and the owner's manual. You don't even really need to get out the jack, provided you do it this way. Undo and replace each nut one at a time. Most cars have actual nuts, but wouldn't you know it, this one has set screws, which are kind of like nuts with the studs built in. Anyway, when you've got each one off, smear a little bit of bearing grease onto the threads, just a smidge, and don't forget to grease the front face of the nut where it touches the wheel. Screw it back on, snug but not tight. Lubricate and replace each one until you've got them all greased and all back on, snug but not tight. Good safety tip: if your IQ is below the room temperature in degrees C, one nut at a time, not all off at once. If they all come off, the wheel can fall off and the car falls down. That's bad, because gravity sucks. I blame Isaac Newton. A lot of people get hung up over the grease, like, is it a smart idea? Will the nuts work themselves loose? In a nutshell, don't stress about it. That lubrication is essential. Your nuts will be tighter and therefore more secure if they're lubricated. They're also going to be easier to undo. When they're all back on and all snug but not tight, grab a torque wrench. Adjust it to the torque in the owner's manual. In this case, 140 Newton meters. Some people think the torque wrench is unnecessary. This is what happens when the authorities turn a blind eye to toxic waste getting in the drinking water. Like Yoda, these people believe they can channel the Force and get the tension bang on using only the power of their Jedi minds. Wrong, they are. Rebel scum. So, 140 Newton meters. You start with the torque wrench wound right off and you wind up. The vernier scale is logical enough, but a bit of a brain bender if you're a politician. Almost certainly impossible if you're a federal minister, which is why I guess they give you a Commonwealth car with a driver. Lock the wrench off using the knob at the bottom to stop it straying from the right setting while you're using it. On a 5-stud wheel, you tighten in this order: 1, 3, 5, 2, and 4. And in a 6-stud wheel, it's 1, 4, 2, 5, 3, and 6. You just do opposing diagonals. It's essential to get the tightening sequence right, because if you don't, you can warp the brake disc, and if that happens, it wears unevenly, causing disc thickness variation, where the disc vibrates when you brake and the pedal pulsates. If that happens, the discs are throwaways and the replacements are going to cost you thousands. Go around the tightening sequence twice with the torque wrench, apply the load smoothly and wait for the decoupling click when you get to the Goldilocks torque. The second go around is merely a fail-safe to make sure you didn't goof off and miss one the first time. Right, that's this corner done. 3 more to go. Doing this in the driveway takes about half an hour, and that's if you stop for a manicure and a Wagyu beef burger at half time. And afterwards you know the brake discs aren't about to warp themselves into a premature grave. If you get a flat out there in a couple of weeks, you'll be able to fit the spare even with the plasticine toolkit that came with the car. I can't really begin to tell you how oddly therapeutic it's been having you watch me play with my nuts here today. It's been emotional, and now I can hold my head high, secure in the knowledge that my nuts are tuned to perfection, like a Stradivarius, only made of nuts. I'm John Cadogan. For more information, visit the website autoexpert.com.au.